The Buddha taught, "One who sits alone, lies alone, walks alone in diligent practice and self-discipline, will find joy in the deep forest." This teaching from the Dhammapada, one of Buddhism's core texts, reflects a profound philosophy on the value of solitude in the spiritual journey. In our modern world, where constant connection and bustle are celebrated, this message seems to run counter to society's mainstream, where success and happiness are often defined by extensive social networks and material wealth. The notion of staying constantly connected has become an invisible pressure in modern society. We fear being left behind, fear the FOMO, fear of missing out, and continuously seek validation from others through social media. Smartphones, the internet, and messaging apps keep us in a state of 24/7 connectivity. Yet, paradoxically, many modern psychological studies indicate that this increased connectivity comes with rising rates of loneliness, anxiety, and depression. The Buddha, more than 2,600 years ago, recognized the value of withdrawing from noise to seek inner truth. He was not alone in this insight. Looking back at the history of spiritual traditions worldwide, we see a similar pattern. Jesus spent 40 days in the desert before beginning his mission. Muhammad meditated in the cave of Hira before receiving revelation. Indian yogis sought the Himalayas for ascetic practices. Chinese Zen masters concealed themselves in deep mountains and forests. Spiritual breakthroughs often occur in solitude, not amidst crowds. In Buddhism, solitude is not merely a state of physical separation but a state of consciousness. The Pali term Viveka describes three forms: Kaya Viveka, physical solitude; Citta Viveka, mental solitude; and Upadhi Viveka, solitude from all attachments. The Buddha encouraged his disciples to seek quiet places, peaceful grounds, such as forests, tree roots, caves, or mountains for meditation practice. He taught that solitude is necessary for developing mindfulness and wisdom, as it creates space to observe the mind without distraction from external influences. In the context of modern life, we rarely can completely abandon society to live as hermits in deep forests. However, the spirit of this teaching can be applied flexibly. Sacred solitude can be practiced within busy urban life by creating islands of stillness throughout the day, morning meditation, solitary walks in the park, or simply turning off the phone and sitting quietly in a private room. These moments allow us to reconnect with ourselves, listening to our inner voice that is often drowned out by external noise. Many modern people fear solitude because they confuse it with loneliness. These are entirely different concepts. Loneliness is a negative emotional state that appears when we crave connection but cannot achieve it. In contrast, solitude is a conscious choice to be alone and enjoy stillness. One can feel lonely in a crowd but find peace when alone. The Buddha taught that only when we are comfortable with ourselves can we truly connect deeply with others without dependency or attachment. Modern scientific research has begun to affirm the value of intentional solitude. Psychologists have discovered that quality time alone can enhance creativity, improve memory, increase concentration ability, and even promote personal development. In a state of solitude, the brain is allowed to switch to default mode, a neural network that operates when we are not focused on the external world. This is an important brain state for consolidating memories, internal reflection, and creating new connections between ideas. Modern philosopher Byung-Chul Han, in his work, The Burnout Society, argues that modern society is losing its capability for negativity, the ability to endure emptiness, silence, and solitude. We constantly seek stimulation and distraction, afraid to face ourselves. This, according to Han, leads to widespread exhaustion. This view accurately reflects the Buddha's teaching. Only when we dare to face ourselves in stillness can we escape the cycle of desire and suffering. In the Buddhist tradition, solitude is not the ultimate goal but a means. After achieving enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, the Buddha did not continue living in seclusion but spent the remaining 45 years of his life traveling throughout northern India, teaching and helping countless people. He established the Sangha, a spiritual community, and encouraged harmony between solitude and community life. This shows that the purpose of sacred solitude is not complete separation from society, but creating a solid inner foundation to then return to the world with deeper wisdom and compassion. Later meditation masters developed the concept of solitude in the crowd, the ability to maintain inner stillness and mindfulness even while living and working in society. Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh taught practices for mindfulness in everyday activities, from washing dishes to walking, transforming each moment into an opportunity to return to oneself. This is how to apply the spirit of sacred solitude in a modern context without completely withdrawing from society. The life of Prince Siddhartha, before becoming Buddha Sakyamuni, represents a meaningful journey from dependence to spiritual freedom, from extreme pleasure to extreme asceticism, and finally discovering the middle way. This is not just a distant historical narrative but a symbol for the spiritual journey that each of us can experience in modern life. Prince Siddhartha was born and raised in exceptional circumstances, with his father King Suddhodana creating every condition for him to live in luxury and pleasure. According to scriptures, his palace had every enjoyment: music, dancers, songbirds, courtesans, delicious food, beautiful clothes, all things that modern humans still crave. The prince had 3 different palaces suitable for 3 seasons, designed to maximize comfort and pleasure. He married the beautiful and intelligent Princess Yasodhara and had a son named Rahula. In today's consumer society, we are constantly driven to pursue sensory pleasures, delicious food, beautiful clothes, luxurious homes, expensive cars, and continuous entertainment experiences. Social media, advertising, and popular culture continuously reinforce the message that happiness comes from having more and experiencing more. However, like Prince Siddhartha realized, many modern people are also discovering that even after achieving all these things, a feeling of emptiness and dissatisfaction still exists deep within the soul. The prince's awakening began with his famous 4 excursions, when he first saw an old person, a sick person, a corpse, and a monk. These sights, the basic realities of life from which he had been sheltered, caused a cognitive shock. He realized that no matter how wealthy one is, nobody can avoid old age, sickness, and death. This impermanence makes all sensory pleasures meaningless. In modern society, we are also sheltered from these realities. The elderly are placed in nursing homes, the sick lie in hospitals, the dead are handled by professional funeral services. Plastic surgery, anti-aging creams, and supplements create the illusion that we can defeat old age. Advanced medical technology creates hope that all diseases can be cured. We live in a death-denying culture, where few think about the finite nature of their lives. But like the prince, many of us also have moments of awakening, perhaps through losing a loved one, experiencing serious illness, or simply feeling emptiness after achieving the material goals we once craved. These moments can lead to an existential crisis, when we begin to question the meaning of life and the value of what we are pursuing. Prince Siddhartha's decision to leave the palace at age 29, called the Great Renunciation, was a bold breakthrough. In a modern context, this would be equivalent to a young CEO abandoning a promising career, selling all assets, bidding farewell to family, and dedicating full time to finding an answer to the question, what is the meaning of life? It takes extraordinary courage and intense determination to make such a radical change. After leaving the palace, the prince sought out famous teachers of that time. First, he studied with Alara Kalama and achieved the meditative state of nothingness, then continued studying with Uddaka Ramaputta and achieved, neither perception nor non-perception, advanced states of consciousness in meditation. However, he realized that although these states brought temporary peace, they still did not completely resolve the problems of birth, aging, sickness, and death. Later, he joined a group of 5 ascetics led by Kandana and practiced extreme asceticism. This ascetic period was a time when the prince practiced self-mortification to an extreme degree. He fasted to the point of eating only 1 sesame seed or 1 grain of rice per day, his body becoming so emaciated that his spine could be felt from the front of his abdomen. He held his breath for long periods, endured all physical suffering, with the belief that completely conquering the physical body would lead to spiritual liberation. This was a shift from one extreme to another, from maximum pleasure to maximum pain. In modern society, we also see similar tendencies. Many people, after being disappointed with consumer lifestyles, have turned to modern forms of asceticism, extreme diets, rigorous physical challenges, prolonged meditation, or completely abandoning modern comforts. The minimalist movement, intermittent fasting, 10-day Vipassana meditation retreats, challenges to live without smartphones, all can be manifestations of this tendency, overreacting to the excesses of consumer society by going to the opposite extreme. After 6 years of extreme ascetic practice, Prince Siddhartha reached an important realization: this path also did not lead to liberation. Torturing the physical body did not make the mind clearer, but only weakened his ability to think and meditate. This was a crucial turning point. He realized that both extremes were not the right path. When the prince decided to abandon asceticism and accept food from the cowherd girl Sujata, the 5 ascetics abandoned him, believing he had lost his resolve and returned to an indulgent lifestyle. But in reality, the prince had discovered an important principle that later became the foundation of Buddhism: the middle way, avoiding the 2 extremes of sensual indulgence and self-mortification. The middle way is not a simple compromise between 2 extremes, but a completely new approach. It is the path of balance, where the body is nourished sufficiently to support spiritual practice, but not indulged to the point of becoming a slave to desire. It is not the average between 2 extremes, but transcending both. In modern life, this middle way principle can be applied to all aspects, from diet, exercise, work, entertainment, to relationships. Instead of oscillating between cycles of unrestricted eating and severe fasting, we can find a balanced, healthy, and sustainable diet. Instead of working to exhaustion and then completely burning out, we can find a sustainable work rhythm with reasonable rest periods. Perhaps the most important lesson from Prince Siddhartha's journey is the necessity to experience and discover one's own path. He did not accept existing teachings without verification. He experimented with both the path of pleasure and the path of asceticism, and finally found his own way. In modern society, when we are surrounded by countless pieces of information, advice, and different ideologies, this lesson becomes even more important. Each person needs to find a path suitable to their own circumstances and nature, through experience and independent thinking. It was in solitude, when the 5 ascetics had left, that the prince had the opportunity to truly discover his own path. This reminds us that sometimes, the biggest breakthroughs in life often come when we dare to go against common opinion, dare to stand alone, and listen to the voice from within rather than external pressure. When Prince Siddhartha relinquished the path of extreme asceticism, choosing to accept nourishment from Sujata, the 5 ascetics departed from him, believing he had lost his resolve. They failed to understand that the prince had discerned the middle way, a path that eschewed both self-mortification and indulgence in sensual pleasures. This moment of abandonment, far from being a tragedy, became a precious opportunity for Prince Siddhartha to turn fully inward, toward himself. In contemporary society, we are perpetually enveloped by noise, information, and incessant connectivity. Smartphones, social media, and 24/7 news cycles have created a state of constant connection, which is often, paradoxically, superficial. We rarely find ourselves truly alone, seldom truly heeding the whispers of our inner voice. This very reality explains why so many in this era feel profoundly lonely, even amidst a plethora of so-called connections. Prince Siddhartha's Solitude beneath the Bodhi tree teaches us that a profound distinction exists between loneliness and chosen solitude, or solitude. Loneliness is the negative state arising from a yearning for connection that remains unfulfilled. Solitude, in contrast, is a sacred space, a precious gift conducive to inner growth. Within the realm of solitude, the mind gradually quiets. Liberated from the need to meet the expectations of others, and freed from maintaining societal roles, we are granted the chance to see ourselves with unvarnished honesty. This is precisely what transpired with Prince Siddhartha. No longer encumbered by the presence of the ascetics, nor the pressure to prove anything, he was utterly at liberty to explore his own path. During the night of his enlightenment, Prince Siddhartha experienced 3 pivotal stages of awakening: recollection of past lives, remembering all his previous existences, divine vision, perceiving the cycle of birth and death of beings according to their karma, and extinction of defilements, eradication of all mental impurities. These profound experiences could only unfold in a space of complete stillness and solitude, a sanctuary where consciousness could expand infinitely. The case of Prince Siddhartha further illustrates that sometimes, being forsaken by others can transform into a precious opportunity. When the 5 ascetics departed, they inadvertently created the very conditions for his enlightenment. In our own lives, moments of rejection, misunderstanding, or abandonment, when rightly perceived, can become critical turning points on our personal journeys of growth. However, it is crucial to understand how to utilize solitude wisely. Solitude is not about evading responsibility or relationships, but rather about creating quality time dedicated to oneself. In Buddhism, monastics often alternate between periods of solitary retreat and communal living. The Buddha himself, after his enlightenment, did not remain in solitude but returned to the world to teach and establish the Sangha, the community of practitioners. This lesson is particularly relevant in our digitized age. We need to proactively create oases of solitude amidst the ocean of information and connectivity. These could be mornings without our phones, solitary walks in nature, or simply 15 minutes of daily meditation. Such spaces are not luxuries, but essential necessities for inner development. Remember, before becoming the revered Buddha, Prince Siddhartha was a solitary man beneath a tree, confronting himself and the universe. That solitude, coupled with unwavering resolve not to move until enlightenment was attained, though flesh and blood may wither, I shall not stir from this seat until I achieve awakening, forged a watershed moment in human spiritual history. Therefore, when feelings of solitude arise, instead of fearing them or seeking to fill the void, ask yourself, could this be an opportunity for me, like the prince of ancient times, to truly turn inward and know myself? The experience of loneliness in the modern era has become a striking paradox. We inhabit the most connected age in human history, with hundreds of friends on social media and the capacity for instantaneous communication with almost anyone worldwide, yet feelings of loneliness are escalating like a spiritual epidemic. From a Buddhist perspective, this is not a failure of technology or society, but a manifestation of a profound truth: lasting contentment cannot be found externally, but only internally. Buddhism teaches that all forms of loneliness originate from avidya, ignorance, or not understanding our true nature and our interconnectedness with the world. When we realize that our deepest essence is not an isolated self but part of an interwoven whole, emptiness or sunyata, loneliness begins to dissipate. Seeking purpose plays a pivotal role in this transformative process. The Buddha not only encouraged us to escape suffering but also illuminated a path for meaningful living through the Noble Eightfold Path. Upon deeper reflection, purpose is understood not merely as a destination but as a journey, not just as an outcome but as a process. In contemporary life, purpose is often misconstrued as material attainment or social status. However, in Buddhism, true purpose is intrinsically linked to spiritual growth and contributing to collective well-being. As Thich Nhat Hanh once taught, happiness is not an individual matter. When we know that those around us are happy, we also are happy. How then do we discover our authentic life purpose? 1. Contemplate the 4 foundational questions. Buddhism encourages us to ask ourselves, who am I? Where do I come from? Where am I going? What is the purpose of my life? Not to find absolute answers immediately, but to initiate the journey of inquiry. 2. Recognize personal dharma. Each individual possesses a unique path, dharma, aligned with their inclinations, talents, and karmic predispositions. Identifying this path is not about imitating others but about heeding the call of our inner voice. 3. Connect with bodhicitta. This refers to the aspiration to bring benefit to all sentient beings. When our purpose transcends personal gain and is directed toward helping others, the energy of loneliness is naturally transformed. 4. Practice mindfulness in daily tasks. Even the most seemingly mundane tasks can become a spiritual path when performed with complete attentiveness. This is what Zen Buddhism refers to as, ordinary mind is the way, Pingchang Xin Shi Dao. When an individual has a clear purpose and a system to work towards it, the energy derived from feelings of loneliness is transformed through 3 stages. Stage 1, recognition and acceptance. Instead of rejecting or fleeing from the feeling of loneliness, recognize it as a form of energy within your consciousness. The Venerable Ajahn Chah once said, "If you dislike solitude, don't try to escape it. Stay with it, embrace it. Solitude will teach you things no teacher can." Stage 2, energy redirection. Having recognized and accepted loneliness, redirect this energy towards your chosen purpose. Great meditation masters have harnessed the energy of solitude, a form of voluntary loneliness, to achieve profound insights. Milarepa, a great Tibetan yogi, spent years in solitary caves and transformed that experience into the most profound poems and teachings of his tradition. Stage 3, creation and contribution. The transformed energy ultimately manifests as creativity and contribution. It is no longer the negative energy of loneliness, but has become the positive energy of deep connection, with oneself, with others, and with all of existence. The Thai Buddhist monk Ajahn Brahm once shared a profound analogy: loneliness is like clay in the hands of a potter. Clay by itself has no particular value, but in the hands of a skilled potter, it can become a beautiful work of art. Similarly, loneliness in the hands of a trained practitioner can become a priceless source of spiritual strength. Ultimately, transforming loneliness into spiritual strength is not a one-time accomplishment but a continuous journey. In Buddhism, there is no fixed state of perfect completion, only continuous moments of awakening. Each instance of feeling lonely is a new opportunity to practice transformation, to sublimate emotion into wisdom, to transmute suffering into a path. Thus, in the light of Buddhist teachings, loneliness is not an enemy to be fought or evaded, but a latent teacher, a source of energy awaiting discovery and transformation through the quest for and the living out of life's true purpose. In the ceaseless flow of modern life, we are continuously swept into a vortex of work, family responsibilities, and endless social engagements. Amidst this hurried rhythm, moments of solitude are not uncommon, but our approach to them makes a critical difference in our spiritual lives. the Buddha taught about the importance of solitude, Viveka, private time dedicated to reflection and inner development. In the greater discourse on the foundations of mindfulness, Mahasatipatthana Sutta, he instructed monks to seek out secluded spots at the foot of a tree or in an empty dwelling to practice meditation. This instruction is not limited to monastics, it is applicable to all practitioners, especially in the modern context where our minds are constantly scattered. Dedicating even 15 minutes each day to oneself is not a luxury but a fundamental necessity for inner growth. This practice embodies wise attention, yuniso manasikara, intelligent focus on what truly matters. During these 15 minutes, we pause all external activities to turn inward, toward the stream of our own inner consciousness. The distinction between leisure time and sacred time is of utmost importance. Leisure time is often filled with superficial entertainment, scrolling through social media, watching short videos, or simply letting the mind wander aimlessly. In contrast, sacred time is high-quality time when we are fully present with ourselves, engaging in a process of self-discovery and inner growth. What makes this time sacred? In Buddhism, sacredness is not related to divinity but refers to a profound experience of the true nature of reality. This time is sacred because it allows us to connect with the deepest, most authentic part within ourselves, our Buddha nature, or radiant mind, Papasarasiddha. When practicing this sacred time, we can employ various methods. 1. Mindfulness of breathing. This is the most fundamental method taught by the Buddha, simply being present with each in-breath and out-breath, without needing to change or adjust anything. This method helps to stabilize the mind and creates a foundation for self-reflection. 2. Self-inquiry. During these 15 minutes, you can pose profound questions to yourself, such as the suggested prompts: who do I aspire to become? What qualities do I need to cultivate? What weaknesses do I need to overcome? This is not negative self-criticism but a process of self-exploration with compassion. 3. Loving-kindness meditation. Begin by directing loving-kindness towards yourself, then extend it to loved ones, friends, acquaintances, strangers, and finally to all beings. This method is particularly effective for those who frequently engage in self-judgment. 4. Insight meditation. Observe emotions and thoughts as they arise and pass away, without identifying with them. This practice cultivates insight into the impermanent nature, anicca, of all mental phenomena. The questions for self-reflection are not limited to these 3 prompts. We can broaden our self-inquiry with deeper questions. Have I lived today truly mindfully, or have I merely reacted habitually? Which of my actions stemmed from compassion, and which from fear? What am I clinging to, and what can I let go of? Which relationships in my life need to be nurtured more deeply? How am I serving the world? This practice is especially crucial in modern society, where FOMO has become a prevalent psychological phenomenon. We constantly feel pressured to connect, to stay updated, to participate. Paradoxically, the more we strive for external connection, the more disconnected we become from ourselves. Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "If you cannot find peace within yourself, you will never find it anywhere else." These 15 minutes dedicated to oneself each day are a practical way to cultivate that inner peace. When we establish this solid foundation, we will no longer fear the inevitable moments of solitude in life. In modern life, we can creatively apply this practice. Sacred space. Create a small corner in your home dedicated solely to practice, perhaps placing a meditation cushion, an inspiring image, or a few personally meaningful objects. Fixed schedule. Choose a specific time of day for practice, perhaps early morning before starting work, midday to reset energy, or evening before bed. Self-reflection journal. Record insights and realizations from your practice time. Over time, this journal will become a valuable map for your inner journey. Mindfulness reminders. Wisely utilize technology by setting reminder notifications for practice, with encouraging messages. Community sharing. Connect with fellow practitioners to share experiences and maintain motivation. This could be a local meditation group or an online community. By maintaining this practice consistently, we will notice subtle yet profound changes. Moments of solitude will no longer be a spiritual threat but become opportunities to reconnect with ourselves. We will gradually develop the ability to experience solitude without loneliness, a state attained by meditation masters through years of dedicated practice. As the Dalai Lama once shared, sometimes one's company is the best company. Through cultivating me time each day, we not only learn to live harmoniously with ourselves but also expand our capacity for deep and genuine connection with others. Practicing for 15 minutes a day may seem simple, but in the context of a constantly busy modern life, it demands real commitment and determination. This is truly a small investment, great return practice, a modest investment of time that yields immense benefits for mental well-being and spiritual growth. As night falls and the world quiets down, it is precisely the moment you have the opportunity to face your closest companion, yourself. Do not fear these solitary moments, embrace them as the precious gift the Buddha taught about. With just 15 minutes each day for quiet contemplation, you have begun a journey of inner transformation. When you learn to live in harmony with yourself, you will live in harmony with the whole world. Remember, in the stillness of solitude, we are never truly alone, we are deeply connected with our true nature. And that is the essence of the Buddha's wisdom. Thank you for taking the time to listen. May the light of the Buddha illuminate your spiritual path, helping you find peace in sacred moments of solitude. Namo Sakyamuni Buddha.